This game is hard as balls. Deadbolt is a 2D stealth game? I say that like a question because while the core game mechanic is stealthing about, you spend an awful lot of time assassinating the hell out of baddies. Deadbolt is a game by Hopu, who previously worked on a little game that you may recognize called Risk of Rain. Currently, in an early demo stage, there are 5 levels of increasing difficulty. I'll be honest, while it's fun and challenging, the gameplay itself isn't entirely unique. Deadbolt takes the basics of stealth, be hard to see, be silent, get in and out as quick as possible, and then smashes them up with an unforgiving, slowed-down combat that's kind of like Hotline Miami and the Souls series had some kind of twisted child. You can turn off lights, use various bits of the environment for cover, and the piece de la resistance, you can turn into smoke in the most badass way possible and slip around through vents. Look at this kill you can get! Don't ask why their toilets are connected to their vents, it doesn't matter! As I mentioned, Deadbolt is still in a very early state. From the 5 levels that exist, you'll get about an hour of gameplay depending on how good you are. Hopu is working on bringing more levels and enemies to the game. I'd be willing to wager that a finished version will actually have music too, but I find that even without any music, simply playing in the near silence with the only noises being those of gunshots piercing the dead air, light switches tip-tapping, or even the confused grunts of the zombie thugs that you're tasked with eliminating is very, very atmospheric. The audio makes it clear that this is a deliberate game. Everything you do has purpose, and making noise better have just as much purpose as the next thing you do, because you could very well only be a few seconds from death. As a side note, I played a few rounds with some dark jazz or low-tempo electro swing playing in the background, and I found that it mixed really well with the overall atmosphere of the game. The AI doesn't seem to be entirely consistent in how it behaves and what it does. The variances are small, but it definitely makes it so that your plans need to be a little more fluid. I haven't been able to decide if this is a bad thing or not since it happens so rarely and the differences are so small. On one hand, it makes it harder to plan precisely, and on the other hand, that lack of preciseness serves to make the whole thing more exhilarating and teaches you to make your plans more, like I said, fluid. In Deadbolt, it's not entirely clear who you are. I've seen people online simply calling the player character Death himself, but I believe you're more an agent of life and death, with life and death in this case being one and the same and represented by the fire that gives you your missions. Yeah, I only believe this to be the case, as the game never really actually tells you. I'm a huge fan of this kind of almost passive world building. The flames feed you a small bit of lore at a time, and it's only ever a consequence of explaining the next mission. I don't want to spoil much more than I already have, because putting the whole world together is a large part of the fun, but just know that this is a very unique world, and I'm very excited to see more in later versions of the game. Deadbolt can be found on itch.io for free, so you have absolutely no excuse to not check this one out. That's all for this episode of Indie Bytes. Thank you for joining. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe for more. Be sure to check out our website, pixelattack.net, for more articles and videos that I've done, as well as what others have done. If you're interested in seeing a more casual side of the stuff that I do, then check out my personal YouTube channel, linked down in the description. And lastly, if you have any indie games that I should check out for Indie Bytes, please leave a comment below or shoot me a message on Twitter. My handle is @forkh. That's all. Bye-bye!